Mastering the first minute of any cold call is the most important part of it because most hang-ups actually come in the first minute. This is the part where you're going to be shut down, you're going to get, oh, I'm not interested. This is where it's going to happen. Once you're past a minute of a cold call, life becomes very good. They've invested enough time now that them staying on the phone to 1, 2, 3 more minutes, it makes sense. They've already invested a minute now. They might as well hear you out and hear what you've got to say. So if you learn to master this first minute of a cold call, you're going to actually get to more productive conversations. You're going to actually get to the point where you can move into the discovery phase more often and actually start to use your sales skills to influence the prospect and eventually book the meeting and get that commission you ask for. So when it comes to a cold call, and the first minute in particular, it's the most important and just predictable part. So the script is so effective here. If you can perfect this script through split testing different phrases, split testing different ways and angles to approach this first minute, you're going to really come up with a perfect script quite quickly. And the reason for this is it's only a minute, it's only 60 seconds. There's only so many different paths and directions and things a prospect can say, and even you can say in that first minute. So once you've done enough cold calls, you've talked to enough people, you actually get the common paths and the common objections that come up, and you also find out what works on your end. So what script's actually working in your end. And this allows you to perfect your script, and then you can use that every time to increase the chances of getting through that first minute. On top of that, your tonality and your energy, it has to be on point. No two ways about it. Just how a short form video, for example, when you're scrolling Instagram, if you're going to watch a short form video, it has to do one thing. It has to hook your attention and it has to disrupt you scrolling. A cold call is the same thing. A cold call is interrupting someone's day. It's interrupting what they're currently doing. So you have to be interested enough. You have to hook them in. You have to engage them enough to interrupt their day, to stay on the phone with you when you just randomly called them out of nowhere. You have to be entertaining. You have to engage them. You have to interest them. And you can do this mainly through your tonality and your energy. If you're really upbeat and you're really charismatic on a cold call, you bring that energy to the call and you make them want to stay on the phone. And when I was first learning sales and I was first actually cold calling on an offer, one of the sales managers there, he actually explained the concept around the first minute of a cold call. And I still talk about this now, and I still use it now to explain it is in a cold call, the first minute, it's really broken down into 20-second periods. So the first third, the second third, and obviously the final third. And in these 20-second periods, all you're doing is giving the prospect a reason for him to stay on the phone for 20 more seconds. You're buying the next 20 seconds of the call. You're selling him on why you want to stay on the phone with him for the next 20 seconds. Give him a good enough reason to stay on the phone for 20 seconds. And you do this through your statement of relevance, through being relevant to him and his business, and through being interested and engaging enough with how you present your service that he wants to stay on the phone. So treat the first minute as you just buying 20 seconds after 20 seconds after 20 seconds. And because these time periods of 20 seconds are so short, this means each 20 seconds, every single word you say is valuable. So when you are scripting the cold call, you need to split test it enough that you can perfect every word you're saying to have the optimized outcome and book the most meetings, get through the first minute easily. And the first minute of the call versus after. The first minute, as I mentioned earlier, it's where you're going to get the hang-ups. It's where you're going to get the not interested. Once you're after that first minute, you're really at a point of the call where they won't really say no unless you pitch the meeting because they've invested a minute now. As long as you're coherent, you're professional, and you're sharp on the phone after the first minute, they're likely going to stay on the phone with you because they have invested that minute of their time. And what's 2, 3 more minutes if they've already invested a minute? So keep that in mind when you are on a cold call. Once you really perfect and master this short period of 60 seconds, you're going to be in a very good position then to move into discovery and then move into the actual fun part of the cold call. So scripts and how to script the first minute are quite simple. So one, how to use scripts. It's quite simple. You want to use a script first when you're learning offer as a complete script. So word for word script that you can copy and learn the offer. Once you're used to that script, you want to really take it, and once you've optimized that script as well, so you've actually made adjustments to it to how you sell, how what works for you specifically, and you've A/B tested that. You want to move to more of a structure. So you take the key points and the core elements of the script and move it to a simple structure that if you need help, you can just look over at your structure, and then that will keep you on track in the actual cold call, and you can just ensure you're doing those things that were first in the word for word script. But now you don't really need the word for word script, so it makes it a lot easier with just a structure. And then once you're super confident on an offer, you want to remove that structure at all, and you should be able to freeball it. You should know an offer back to front at this point to be able to do a 5 to 7 minute cold call and not need any script, and just know subconsciously where to take the call because you've done it so many times. And then I'm going to just explain how to deal with gatekeepers, the statement of relevance, and the basic details and transitioning into that discovery phase, and then how to actually test and improve your script. So, as part of that A B testing I was talking about earlier. So, first, dealing with a gatekeeper, if you do in B2B cold calling, especially, and you don't have leads that are just personal numbers, you're going to get a lot of gatekeepers. So, these are receptionists. So, I went a lot deeper on this in my video, How to Get Past Receptionists, but on the surface and basic level, if you've got info going in, so you got the name of the decision maker, the guy you want to be talking to, you want to go in with a very confident approach. You want to just be, "Hi, it's Sam here from business name. Can you please put me through to John? Thanks." So I'm saying, obviously, you're not going to say business name. You're going to say where you're from, but you're just going to say the prospect's name. That builds trust because obviously you got information about who you want to speak to. With the receptionist, they're going to go, "Oh, he must know John if he knows his name," and they will pass you through. And you want to say thanks to then end discussion there. Sometimes they will obviously push back. Why do you want to speak to him? Blah blah blah. Go into an information dump then, and then try use some Jedi mind tricks to get your way around the gatekeeper. And if you can't do any of that, just collect some information from them, arrange a callback date, and that's the best you can do there. But then if you have no info going in at all and you're dealing with a gatekeeper, there is a very different approach you have to make. So not confident at all and not direct at all. So you want to be very inquisitive and just look like you're a person needing help. And then as a receptionist, one of their core roles is to help and connect people with the right people. If you're going in looking for help, they're inclined to help you. So you just want to come in with a really inquisitive and just questioning approach where it's like, "Hi, I'm not really sure who exactly I should be speaking to. Maybe you can help me here. I'm calling in regards to an online publication in Yahoo Finance, and I usually do speak to the PR manager, the head of marketing, or the owner. Can you just point me in the right direction, please?" So just by saying this, I sound really inquisitive. I sound just like I'm just someone needing help. I'm not too direct. I'm not too confident like I was there in the first example when you do have info. And then information dumps always work as the backup if you are initially not passed through. And then if the information dump doesn't work and you're still not passed through, then you just want to collect information about the decision maker, maybe their name, email, personal phone, when they'll next be available, and then arrange a callback time to get a hold of them. And then the statement of relevance. So this is the most important part. I've done some fucking LGBTQRQ, fucking don't know the rest of it, colors here. But what this is basically showing is some of the core elements you want to include. And you can see here, I haven't actually included the who do we help part. So you don't have to include these because this is a statement of relevance that we, over time, on one of the offers I'm running right now, we've tried and we've tested and we've actually optimized. So we just found we didn't really need to include that. It just didn't really add anything to the call, and it just really added a bit of fat and stuff we didn't need in the first initial statement of relevance on the script. So the way we do it is all the leads we contact will have got an email before they're cold called. So even if they don't get an email and that's not how your offer is set up, you can still use this approach and it will still work 99% as well. So normally you just be like, "Hi, is this John?" This is when you've been passed through from a gatekeeper, or maybe they just pick up the phone straight away and you're speaking to the correct person, the decision maker. You should be like, "Hi, is this John?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, it's John here." And you'd be like, "Great. So I'm Sam and I'm from your business." Immediately, that's adding context, who you are and where you're from. That's just necessary information. They're going to want to know if you're a stranger that's called him up. So you've said that now. And now you want to add, like, why are you calling? Why have you just cold called him? So here, because we have sent them an email, that really allows us to have a great in with them to actually move into the proper statement of relevance. So what we do is, like, we did send you an email. Did you get a chance to read it there, John? So immediately it's a questioning phase. It's not salesy at all. And it really puts him on a back foot. And he's like, no, I didn't get an email. What was it regarding? And once he asks what it was regarding, jackpot, bingo. That allows us to go straight into our real statement of relevance about what we do. And here we can explain what we do. Obviously, we get people published in Yahoo Finance. And then we add intrigue, we add curiosity, we add social proof. And that's a publication with 58.3 readers a month. So that number there, 58.3 million, obviously it's a very large number. It's going to grab their attention and hook them in. And then we just be like, "Would this be worth a quick chat, John?" So just give him a really just a response where it's up to him. Like, if he wants to talk about it, he can, no pressure. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Non-salesy approach, very non-salesy approach. So as you can see here, I've hit on the necessary parts. So I've added the context here, why we're calling, what we do, and then I've added intrigue here. We used to say, so we help CEOs, we help heads of marketing increase the PR for their business, and we just found it didn't add anything to the call, and it didn't help at all. So we removed that. So we've got the necessary elements here, and it just gives enough for when we say, would this be worth a quick track? It interests John enough for us to actually move into the next part of the call, which is then the basic details and the transition into discovery. So this is all it is, the next part of the first minute. So this will normally be the last 40, 30 seconds of that first minute. So naturally, after that point of where you say, would this be worth a quick chat? John will normally say yes. So the prospect will say yes. And naturally, he wants more information. You've only given him a tiny bit there. So he will normally want information about like who you are and like what exactly you do when it comes to a press release. How do you do this? And these questions will normally be the same on most calls you're doing. So as I said, it's the first minute. It's very easy to script. So you should put together an elevator pitch that explains your service like correctly and explains your service in a way where it pre-handles a lot of objections and also just answers those common 1 to 2 questions. And then once you've answered these 1 to 2 questions, you really put the prospect at ease. You've answered their questions, you've given them some information. Hopefully these answers have intrigued the prospect a bit more. Then you can really transition into the discovery phase. And it's like, just so before I go into too much detail here, can I just ask a few quick questions just to have a better understanding of how potentially a press release can be angled for you, John? And normally, because you've asked so nicely, you've asked for permission first. They're just like, yeah, go ahead. Just be like, okay, first off, John, when I mentioned the press release, what caught your interest? Have you done a press release here before? And here I'm just asking a very specific and in context question. I'm not just going to ask a bullshit, very broad question. I'm asking a question specifically that will give me ammunition and give me information that I can then use in my, obviously, the rest of my discovering phase to ask backup questions and then my pitch. So here you can see how I've given him some more basic details here. And then I've just asked for permission to transition into that discovery phase, get out the first minute of the call, and then continue with it from there in the discovery, and then move into a pitch, and then hopefully book the meeting. So when it comes to testing and improving your script, just like you would an email campaign, A/B test it. A/B test different statement of relevance, different phrases, different ways of saying things, and see what gets the best reaction from prospects. Obviously, you're going to have to run a lot of numbers to do this, but that's why you have group calls. So you have group calls to write scripts, because if you're writing it yourself, maybe you've been making $150 a day. That's great. You've got $150 worth of information to use to actually write your script. But if there's 5 you want to call, you've just 5 extra numbers there. You've got 5 times more information to actually use in writing your script and making it optimal. So do group script writing calls. See the common objections. It just gives you way more information to write the scripts. And then from this, you can understand all the common objections and sort of paths, directions the call takes. And then you can also understand the common trigger points. What specifically, like for example, with the statement of relevance I mentioned earlier, we found mentioning Yahoo Finance and also mentioning the 58.3 million readers a month. Those two were big trigger points for prospects. So understand the common trigger points and then use them in your script, and then remove and trim all the fat. So the unnecessary fat from the script. If it doesn't do anything, remove it, because you've only got 60 seconds. So when it comes to, as I mentioned earlier, like who do we help in our statement of relevance, we don't have that, because we did it first and we noticed it wasn't really a good trigger point. It didn't really add anything to the statement of relevance. So we just trimmed it. We trimmed the unnecessary fat from the scripts. And then understanding how to progress in your script and how to use it. So you go from having a full word-to-word script, then you move into just having a structure, just to make sure you're still following that core direction the call should take. And then you can just go to freeballing it. When you understand the offer so well, you've been making enough calls, you've been on the offer long enough, you won't need a script anymore. You'll be able to freeball it and really be in a way better position to adapt on calls and just be a better salesman. When you are freeballing it, it really removes that rigid structure a script does provide when you're learning an offer, and allows you, because you've got the information about the offer now, you know so much about it, it allows you to be so much more free and flexible on calls, which allows you to customize calls so much more and resonate so much more with prospects, and just increase the chance of you either booking meeting or closing calls. So to kind of recap everything here, how to use scripts, you want to go from, as I said, the script word for word to the structure, to then nothing at all, freeballing it. You want to always be A/B testing scripts, improving and optimizing it. To deal with a gatekeeper, there's 2 different ways. If you have information, if you don't have information, the statement of relevance is one you want to A/B test a lot. You should be A/B testing this most and optimizing this. basic details transition into discovery. This is normally the same on most cold calls you do. Normally prospects will have the first one or two questions they have will normally be quite similar, so you can really design an elevator pitch for this case. And then the transition into discovery is very simple. You just ask for some permission to ask questions, and then you just tell them why you're asking questions. Oh, just so we can help you angle how the press release could potentially look. And then test and improve in the script. Obviously, just A/B test it here. And then here on the right, as you can see, is a script. This is a real script from actual Jordan Belfort's sales team when he was at Stratton Oakmont. So this is available online for free, and it's a very good example of just a perfect script, a script he used to give all his employees to read and for training purposes only, obviously, as you can see down there. So just take a read over the script, see how he presents it, and just read it and just see how the best of the best do write their scripts and present their scripts. And from there, just always be testing and improving your script to optimize your booking rates.